Yes. Yes, I'm ready to go. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and today's the day, tonight's the night, because we're talking about Dexter episode 7, right? Yeah, episode 7. Did I title this episode 6 in the StreamYards? I feel like I did. Oh, it's okay. We're not live.
You did.
So,
Okay, that's why I was.
as usual,
I was making the
we are reviewing
thumbnail.
every single episode of Dexter.
That threw me off when he froze.
I know. I did.
We're reviewing every episode of Dexter New Blood, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to restart my computer, so you guys get to throw out the plugs and everything. All I'll say before I go is we're going to talk about this, because I think we'll do, it's not this week, but I think we'll do one more newscast before the end of the year. We'll talk about more then, but a big thank you to everyone that did listen to our Spider-Man review, because it's just done massive. You guys have charted it a bunch. You guys have broken every record we have. Now, here's the fun thing. They created a new record, because we had never, ever had a review where the second day was bigger than its first. That's never ever happened. It's always like to break the fourth wall in podcasting. Usually day one is when you make the majority of your stats and your monetization, stuff like that. And that's kind of like declining from there and there. But it was its biggest day one. And then the day two is even bigger than that. And then like our day 3 is doing very like the biggest day 3 for review. So everything you can think of, it happened. It broke. So a big thank you. I don't know how the crossover is between the Spider-Man fans and the Dexter fans, but if you are those people, just a big thank you, because as I said in the tweet, there's tons of people out there reviewing this movie, tons of people talking about it. So I'm always humbled that when people, they still choose us opening weekend to come to it, you know. I always think, everyone's gonna listen to the big ones and, you know, they'll get to us eventually, but no, they're there, and people have said some kind words. So a big thank you to that, you know. Maybe I won't restart the computer. It's going straight. It's going to hold on. It's going to, we'll see. I got thrown off because I was about to throw Taylor, and then Taylor muted himself. So I was confused of what do I do in this moment.
What'd I do?
You just keep talking.
You muted
you handled
yourself.
it well.
I don't know if I did that.
So in the future, we got lots of things. We got Dexter. We got Matrix this week. We got the Hawkeye finale this week. Tons of things happening. So Taylor, when we promote these, when we tell people about them, where are they going to find these links?
Ladies and gentlemen, you can find us with your internet connection in the search bar. GeekVerse.ca is our home base. GeekVerseCast is our Twitter. GeekVerse on the Facebook. Be sure to check us out on the Facebook because we have the fan base community Christmas poll popping off. It is currently Buddy the Elf versus Mr. Green from night before. Buddy the Elf is cleaning house. I'm sorry, Travis. I know you're a big fan of Mr. Green.
That's fine. I'm on the right side of history here, you know.
There you
Elf's
go.
going to get destroyed the next few rounds. Don't worry.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's it. And then, head over to Patreon. Best way to listen to GeekVerse podcast. You get the episodes ad-free. You get exclusive episodes. You get early episodes. Right now, you could be listening to Matrix Revolutions early. You could be listening to Eyes Wide Shut early. You know, there's still lots of things to release that we haven't even recorded yet. So, and then, yes, Manscaped. Kirklin's waving the flag and everything like that. So, and I've heard we'll have some more stuff about Manscaped that we'll probably be still partner with them past the new year as well. So go use the pod. Even though I think coming up this week they'll probably have their their
Boxing Day sales.
Boxing Day and stuff, and then you do the extra 5%. So, but still head over there and you can use that code and let them know that we're the ones that directed you over there. So. Let's get into this. So last week we ended with Harrison breaking some dude's arm. Obviously not a good scenario. Jim Lindsay's popping off, pushing Kurt, and I wonder what the people of Iron Lake was thinking the whole time. But we thought, okay, this is going to be the fallout. And, you know, we actually haven't talked about this at all because I went to go see Spider-Man 2. Taylor's probably playing Call of Duty. Kirklin's probably playing Hide the Zucchini, whether he was alone or not. And so I don't know the reactions at all, but I'm going to guess that, I don't know if they're like me, but I feel like this was not an inconsequential episode, but I feel like it moved the needle a little bit and a lot less than we thought going next or last week. Because I thought we're like, okay, and non-spoilers. We're going to get this, we're going to get this. Oh, can't wait. Where we got some of those things, but I feel like we only got like the quarter portion of it. You know, we did not get the full salami. And because like I said in our chat, I thought I was going to get a Spider-Man and I might say, oh, holy shit. Oh, WTF, like last week or the week before we were watching this, but there was none of that group chat. So I'm like, okay, maybe they haven't seen it yet. Maybe it's late then when I watched it. And like I said, I'm not trying to speak for them because I don't know. It's so funny. Jumped to 2 weeks ago where Hawkeye had a few episodes left and then this had 5. And I was like, man, I'm not worried about Dexter at all because we got 5 episodes left. We got lots of time. Hawkeye, we only got 2. What are we going to do here? I'm starting to get that same worry of Dexter that I had of Hawkeye a few weeks ago. Now, if you listen to our Hawkeye reviews as well, this latest one, my problem was always like, oh, they have lots of storylines. How are they going to close it? They are closing the storylines in Hawkeye, but they're doing it, lots of them, very rushedly, and I'm not a fan of that. I think there's some that the best way I could describe it is if you're making like you're having a Greek night, right, gentlemen? So you're getting the Greek potatoes, you're getting pita, tzatziki, and you're going to make the Greek chicken, though, right? So there's two ways you could do that. There's the best way where you take it out, you let it thaw, and then you put it in a bag, you marinate it overnight. So when you cook it, oh man, the juices are in there. It's just like, it's a prime Greek chicken. Or you just quickly, oh shit, I'm running late. You take the chicken out, you defrost in the microwave, and then just cook it with some Greek, salad dressing or Greek spices. And yeah, sure, it's Greek chicken, but it's not the same. And that's what Hawkeye, for me, has done with some storylines where it's like, okay, we got the end result, but we rushed. And that's why I'm just worried with 3 episodes left, especially, I'll get into spoilers. Next episode feels like it's going to be kind of a detour in a sense. Like, I don't know. The president of Showtime, when they asked him about another season, he said, like, this was yesterday. He said, this was made to be a season that has a conclusion. So I'm still taking them at their word to me that it is a final season. But when they asked, oh, what about more? He's like, oh, well, we have to talk about that after everything's aired. So I guess I would feel better knowing if there was a season 2 of this show. But right now, I feel like there's lots of things that I don't want to rush through. And now we'll only have 3 episodes. And this was a shorter episode, too. This was only like 44 minutes or something like that. So I enjoyed the episode, but I thought it was kind of running in place for a little bit. And it's not like a few weeks ago. I think it was episode 3 that Kirklin really liked, and I was kind of lower on. That one I thought was a needed episode because we had to close off some storylines. And in this episode, it kind of referred back to episode 3. With this one, I feel like lots of stuff you could have put in half into one episode. So liked it, but probably my least favorite of the season, but still a good episode. So where are you, Taylor?
Well, I really, really like this episode. Again, it wrote me in because you're right. Like, the needle was moving a little bit and things were picking up. I was really curious how things were going to follow up after the last episode because, like in episode 6, it's like, hey, I don't need Jim. I need Dexter Morgan. And just continuing continuing into the storyline this time around. What? That wasn't spoilers. That was
no, not at all. It's just that's like it's just a cheat. Okay, this is a minor spoilers thing, but whatever. Whenever Angela and Dexter are done with their thing, she's just like, "Thanks, Dexter," and it's just like, "All right,
she's still spiteful."
Jim. Calm down. He's helping you out.
I don't blame her for being a little spiteful. I mean, you fake arrest him to bang him in the back of your police cruiser, and then he's not even who he says he is, and you think you're a good cop, but really you're just kind of.
But if it was a good cop thing to do. Fake arrest to bang someone in the back of their car.
That's true. She's the sheriff. She's just banging some guy on the side of the road. Could be seen at any moment.
She thinks she's a good cop. There's a few things I'm going to talk about in spoilers about how she acted.
And plus, like, if the sex was good, does it matter? Does it matter if he was Jim or Dexter? No, and she looked like she's having a good time. So,
yeah, good episode.
No, it's a good episode. Kirklin, you're Sweden, Switzerland.
I don't think I am today. I'm gonna side more with Travis on this one. I thought majority I thought majority of the episode was just, I wouldn't say inconsequential. It just didn't seem like it had the stakes of the previous episode. The previous episode was pretty damn lit, so I feel like it's okay to have an episode like this after it. Like you mentioned, kind of like the fallout of last week's episode. That's really what this one felt like. There was some stuff that happened, but I felt like we were getting somewhere, and then it was just like an abrupt end. Like maybe you're about to get some action, and then it's the macaroni is overflowing, and then you got to go attend to that or something. There's something that like stops the action. I felt like that happened a couple times in this episode. But I'm not saying it's bad. I don't think it's my least favorite of the series. I can't really pinpoint which would be the worst one of the series. Maybe that just goes to show like the quality of the show. Like even like the lull episodes are still like okay. It's not like it really stood out to me. What's so funny?
Let's just hope it's not the finale when we're all set.
Yeah, hopefully not. But no, like I think this one again, it's like a fallout of previous episode, but it's still getting ready for some things to happen like moving forward. So I'm hopeful for next week's episode and. Yeah, I thought it was all right. I'm excited to talk about some character stuff, but it's funny, there was something that happened at the very beginning of this episode, which kind of like was the cliffhanger of previous week's episode, like Taylor mentioned. Like, I don't need Jim Lindsay, I need Dexter Morgan. Like the crime scene Maestro, whatever she called him. And it very much reminded me of something in Hawk. Maybe I shouldn't speak. Maybe I'll say that first spoiler. So
Don't speak,
yeah,
boy.
don't speak. But
Uh,
yeah.
so I said I compare this episode to a Greek dinner. Kirkland compared to overflowing macaroni. Taylor, what type of food or like meal would you compare this episode to?
Spicy Shanghai noodles.
That's so random, but so specific at the same time. So spicy, that's good. Unless you don't like spicy, but well, there you go. Yeah, we're gonna get into spoilers. There's a couple of good things to talk about too that I almost forgot about. So I think it'll still at least be interesting. And I think like Kirk, I agree with you that it's not bad. I like luckily, again, I haven't watched an episode of this and felt, oh, that was a bad episode.
Yeah.
And again, like I just feel we're very lucky because if this is for sure the final season, I think there's just leaps and bounds of what we got those last 2 years, right? So
Yeah.
again, just because it's lower tier. I just like I said, I do. For me, it's almost like Hawkeye. Again, where next week to me is a big tipping point of if we're gonna feel rushed to these stories, and that's why I did watch the preview for next week, and I'm gonna bring up something in spoilers because I just worried. I'm like, oh, like I feel like we might lose in episode 8 to like a certain adventure, but we'll talk about that. So if you've not seen it, go watch it. Come back. This review will be here, so we'll be right back, and I'm gonna go right into spoilers. And we're back.
I want to start just to finish off what I was saying in the non-spoiler
Yes.
section. How like last week's episode ended with I need Dexter Morgan, not Jim Lindsay, and then in the same vein as like I forget what number it was, but the Hawkeye episode, I guess not really a spoiler, but there's a blade at the throat of Clint Barton, and then it ends, and then next week's episode starts, and you're like, holy shit, this is gonna be intense, and it's just like resolved in like 1 minute, and it's not really anything. I thought the same thing in this episode. Like, yeah, he did some crime scene investigating, but it wasn't intense like a cliffhanger sort of thing at the last week's episode. I'm like, oh my god, okay, we're getting in some meat and potatoes. This is like some classic Dexter. You know, he's gonna be showing up at the crime scene, just doing his thing. And I felt like it was over and done really, really quickly. And I don't even think it should have been longer or anything like that. I think I was just expecting more like Dexter stuff, and I just thought that was resolved like really, really quickly in this episode. So I kind of had some thoughts of what we were going in this episode, and it really didn't go that way. I don't think it's a bad thing for the episode's sake. It's just I had some expectations, maybe.
And that could be it too, because like I don't disagree with you on that one. The one that for me bugged me was the Harrison stuff, because like when we had the whole situation last week and the arm break and Dexter's like that's like we're fully getting confirmed the dark side and all this stuff, dark pasture. And so they're having the crime scene thing happens, like Hearn says, yeah, they kind of get through that. And then they're having breakfast. It's quiet. And then he's just like, okay, thanks for breakfast. Yeah. And then they just leave. I was like, really? Like, that is what?
Yeah. And I don't know if he's going. I'm just going to go.
There he is.
There he is.
Oh, and no, I was saying I'm not sure where I lost. I'm sorry, folks. My Wi-Fi forgot to start on the computer.
He left his kid like when they was leaving at
Well,
breakfast.
yeah, when he's just like, oh, thanks for breakfast. He's like, yeah, and then they just leave, and I was like, really? Like that's the only like. I hated the end. To me, last week we talked about this, right? That the week before he figures out that Harrison has dark pasture, and then last week was him kind of sniffing it out, asking questions, stuff like that. And when the arm break happens, I think all of us were like, okay, next week is we got to talk about this now and really confront it. The fact that Dexter came to that conclusion at the end of this week's episode just felt like not filler, but that's what I meant. Like we were spinning wheels of just that should have all like I don't know why Dexter didn't see that scenario, and I don't know if this to me is poor writing or not. He didn't see that scenario and thought, okay, we do really need to get this head on. Like the fact that he had to wait till literally Harrison had the fucking like blade out and was about to chop a kid. He's like, oh yeah, we should talk about it. It's like I feel like they kind of make Dexter a little dumb. Like I didn't like that he's like had to wait to this moment. It's like last week was for sure the proof you needed of like he like even like the fact that Audrey's already like, yeah, I don't know if I feel that way about you anymore after one break, and Dexter has the one break, but all this other info. I'm not saying Dexter should turn against his son. I'm just saying I felt like the show had completely set up, we're going to start dealing with this. And my problem is because next week I saw a preview and it looks like it's a big adventure of him trying to escape this guy that kidnaps him. So it's like, if we get a whole episode of just him versus this dude, that's one episode down, and then we're only 2 left. So what? If this is the final season, we get Adventure next week. Episode 9 is when we really talk about Dexter and Harrison, and then episode 10 is when Dexter maybe just dies. That's where I'm starting to get really worried that we're going to rush through a lot of the stuff, because like I said, this week didn't feel like a waste, but I feel like we should have moved a bit quicker. So yeah, I was disappointed with the Harrison stuff. It was like I said, a little lackluster to me.
Yeah, I agree with you for sure. I thought again, just how last episode went. I thought we were gonna get some conversation, and like the whole like basically anytime that Dexter and Harrison are at the cabin, like it's just you don't get anything. And for majority of the show, I was liking it because it goes to show just how unequipped Dexter is to be a father. Like he just doesn't
Yes.
know how to relate to his son at all. He doesn't know how to small talk. He doesn't know how to ask him like how his day is. Like he can't like have like a personal relationship with his son, it seems, because he's just so preoccupied on like finding someone to kill, finding out if he has to
Everything
kill
else.
Kurt, everything else. Yeah, like he just is a terrible dad, and it fits the role of what like a serial killer would be like. I think so. For most
Yeah.
of the show, I was digging that, but now we're at the point where it's just like, is this like I feel like I can fast forward anytime they're in the cabin because I'm not gonna miss any important dialogue because they don't fucking say anything. It's like, oh, you're like I literally laughed out loud when he's like, looks like we both are hungry, eh? And he's just like so terrible at like small talking, like even with his son, which is good for what the character is. But like when you're trying to advance the story and the plot, like it doesn't help at all. Harris's like, oh, I'm just trying to bulk up for wrestling, and then like that scene pretty much ends. Like,
Yeah.
they have a little bit of like discourse of you're
Well, and
about
they
to
don't
jump
even
in there.
like, even if he's not get talk about the dark pasture, they don't even bring up the wrestling thing. They don't even
No,
talk
no,
about it
they
like, hey,
don't.
that wasn't
Yeah.
good. Like, hey, even then, why wouldn't Harrison be like, why the fuck did you push Kurt? Like, it just felt like it literally felt like last week didn't happen. And I think that
No,
to me
yeah.
that's where I agree with you. Where the signs of Dexter being a bad dad, that was some good writing. But this week literally felt like they got Men in Black and they just got like everyone forgot about except for Audrey. Audrey was only like, hey, this fucking thing happened and this is weird. But nobody, like even Logan, the teacher, never talked to Harrison about like it was
Yeah.
weird. It was just like ignored. It was put under the rug. So I don't know why. Why do the arm break thing last week? And I feel like they just did that to like leave like an ending like for the show to be like really hyped and stuff like that. But it's just, yeah, I don't know. I think the follow through this week was kind of disappointing, and they haven't really done that so far in this show. And again, not bad. I know we're gonna get it. Just even last week when we had the therapy session and we talked about when they're at the cabin, and I was the same as you, Kirklin. I was like, oh, we're gonna get the real conversation right here, and we didn't. But then when I kind of thought, oh, we're getting next week, that's fine. I can live with that. And no, it's just the arm break never happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where are you, Taylor? Because we brought up two things. Of one, Kirkland was a bit more disappointed or, wanting a little bit more of the Dexter Morgan return. And then I was wanting a little bit more with the Harrison. So where are you on this? Because you liked it. So are these things that we didn't see that you saw?
The whole arm breaking thing, I see that as, okay, Kurt he does have leverage over the team. I feel like he just was swept under the rugs. Like, oh, it's wrestling. He just got heated and he just did it. And like, that's that. Like, not like if he did it again consecutively, then I would say, okay, that's when you're going to have like coach come in and talk to him or something like that. But
he's just gonna be back on the team though. That's one thing when he's like, I'm bulking up for wrestling. I
he
thought
is.
that was gonna be the moment Dexter be like, oh, you're wrestling.
I think it's 100% relatable to the fact that, okay, he is new to the team. He doesn't know. He's trying to like fit into the team. He went a little too far, caught in the moment. And I think a coach is going to acknowledge that and maybe try and work with that. But I don't think there was room to address that in this episode because they wanted to focus on how, at least how I see it, Dexter was getting obsessed with the kill. He hasn't killed since. Well, I guess he did. No, he didn't kill the other guy because he just let the drug dealer be overdosed. So that was
no,
really
he
part of his.
he literally shoved
Not in
like,
his ritualistic like
No.
approach though. So he doesn't get that satisfaction like Kurt not properly killing that girl, right? So for him, he's getting obsessed with the idea of, okay, now I gotta get Kurt, and that's got his attention. He's like a dog with a bone. He's fixated on that. So he obviously can't focus on his son, even though he realizes now he's got to tell him because his son went full crazy butts in the parking lot. I love that brief moment though at the cabin when they were both eating exactly the same way. I thought that was really funny.
Yeah.
But no, I think it was a good episode. I think it's definitely not like the peak. Like I have other more favorite episodes, but I think it's definitely coming along and it's getting to a point where we need to. And I don't want to. I think it's unfortunate that I can only attribute that to being like the ending cliffhanger, but like the other events that happened during the episode, I feel like were pretty substantial. Like we're seeing like Kurt freak out and move all his stuff out and all that jazz.
Oh yeah, no, there's definitely some stuff. I guess, like I said, I'm just worried what the follow up's going to be with Harrison and how much time we have to covered and everything like that. But I guess we'll see. So I want to talk about because we are talking about Dexter and Harrison, we should just kind of go to the end. So those guys last week, which I do like that most of the time they set stuff up and then come back to it. The only thing though, I am still wondering, like, where the fuck is this billionaire? Because I thought for sure when Kurt was arrested, I'm like, oh, this is how he's going to get out of the situation. Is this guy? He's going to be connected with him, and there's going to be lots of money or stuff like that. Again, same thing. We got like what, and that could be the case though. But it's like we got 3 episodes left, and that's the only storyline they never come back to. But either way, I liked last week when they threatened Harrison, like, okay, you're going to get yours for doing this to our friend. He's out the whole season. So they find him, he's taking out the trash and everything like that. They gave him his little Dexter hero moment, putting on his face mask and everything like that. And Harrison is just looking completely lost.
What face mask? I missed that.
Travis is looking completely lost. There he is.
Just like I was completely lost. But either way, they're gonna fuck him up, and then he pulls out the what's the technical term for that knife?
Like a straight razor.
Straight razor, yeah, for shaving.
Yeah. So, well, that's not what Harrison uses it for.
He was ready to fucking draw blood there, man. Like, he would have just left like 4 corpses in the snow if Dexter didn't show up.
And he would have been like, "Oh, they're just wrestling me, kind of rough," Like he would have had some.
Yeah, and like, I like that stuff that happened with Harrison. I know, Travis, you're not really a fan of him going like the dark route, but I liked him like kind of breaking down. What the hell was that? You dropped something?
Just nothing.
Cat fell from the ceiling. Like, I like that stuff because it just shows how like completely at the end of his road he seems. Like, he's so done at like putting on this facade. He's so done at just dealing with people. Like, he's just so angry, and he's been carrying that angry, like, or that he's
I'm carrying that angry.
He's carrying that anger. He's carrying that anger
I'm
with
angered,
him.
Dad.
And he's been carrying it for basically his whole life. And like the snapshot of his like flashbacks that he was calling dreams that weren't dreams, like that dialogue was so good. But like we could have had that so early on. I think we kind of wasted some time getting there. But like that scene was really, really great in my opinion. Just seeing him getting frustrated, and I thought, again, that's where we were going to get, like, the Dexter conversation where I need to tell him everything, but then they're just, like, just blue balling us, and they're like, no, you got to wait another week.
He, like, gingerly walks after his son. No, Harrison, stop. Please, don't go. No, Harrison, don't get...
So he's gone. He's like, finally, I can go do something else.
Yeah, he's like, oh, good, I don't want to talk to Harrison. Like, I hated that. Like, he's like, Harrison, stop. And Harrison's running. And right when Harrison gets to the car, that's when Dexter decides to start, like, moving. It's like, what the fuck's wrong with you, dude? And stuff. But no, again, like, yeah, I was not a biggest fan of the concept, but I'm just like, I'm rolling with it now. I've accepted, like, okay, this is the route we're going. Let's see how they do it. And yeah, I did like this. I like that he just pulled out the straight razor, he's gonna throw down. I go back and forth because the show really like set up the old show of like, hey, he's not gonna have these problems. Like, there's multiple therapists and whatnot that talk to Dexter about this. Like, yeah, he doesn't remember anything now. Like, obviously he could be lying and stuff like that. So that's fine. I do wonder. So I love how it was done. I love the creepiness of John Lithgow. This is where we finally got him saying, "Oh, Daddy's gonna be home soon," and like, what a creepy guy. But like, is that it for Lithgow? And if that is it for Lithgow, because my hope is that talk kind of maybe inspires a ghost Lithgow to come back. If that is for Lithgow, they should have never said anything to the fucking press, because this wasn't a rumor. This wasn't a scoop. This wasn't like, oh, we know Lithgow's in it, and it got spoiled. That's kind of shitty. But this was them and John Lithgow being like, yeah, it was fun to come back and play for a little bit. If this was the cameo and they talked about it, big mistake, because I thought for sure we'd get Ghost or a little bit more. I like the scene itself. I just wish if this is the only scene, they didn't say shit all,
Yeah, I had the feeling that that's all we're gonna see of him. He's excited to come back, strip down, get naked, say Daddy's coming. There, what do you think of the Lithgow?
Well,
and everything we talked about.
Definitely not what I predicted. I thought, oh, maybe he'll be the dark passenger for Harrison. That's definitely not the case.
Well, no, but hey, you're wrong though. We have confirmed proof that he does remember. He remembers them, and he knows what he remember. Where me and Kirklin like, he doesn't even know what he sounds like.
Well, he thought it was a dream though. Is what he says, like when he listened to that podcast, that's what triggered him, right? That's when he realized, okay, this is like the dreams are memories. So
don't listen to podcasts.
Don't listen
people.
to podcasts. People fuck you up. No. Look what it had to Harrison. But like Kirklin said, how do you feel about Lithgow if it's this the only time we see him?
I think it fit. I think it fit really well. I think if you get a little bit too, if you bring him in a little bit more than this, like I say this now, knowing where we are from these past episodes. So like every episode, obviously my opinion changes because the story is in flux and it's developing further and further. So at this point in the game, they introduced him, and I think they should end it there with him, because if they bring him along for further stuff, I don't know how they would with the way they reintroduced him in this episode. If they bring him along as we go further in, I feel like that's just another thing that's going to kind of be difficult to wrap up or explain. Maybe they could bring him for another flashback or some other sequence in season 2 if they do a season 2 focusing on Harrison. I don't know, but I think that that's the right little bit of a nod towards fans of the show. I think this is here's another extra scene that you didn't get to see from Harrison's perspective of when Rita was killed in the bathtub. So
just that scene over and over. Lithgow's like, "Do I gotta keep you naked?" They're like, "Yeah, sorry, man." But like, no, I think there's still a chance for next week if there's any situations where Dexter's like tied up in a room or in a car where like maybe he does see Lithgow, because I feel like before it was always like Dexter being like, "Does he remember? Does he remember?" So Harrison be like, "I do remember." Like I said, maybe that could trigger a ghost like Lithgow. So I am hoping that this was the thing that preceded it, and we do get that. Because again, I just wish they didn't say anything then, because I feel like if that's a complete expectations. Like I know he's dead, I don't want to get worked up, but we know this is a show that features Dexter talking to dead characters, right? So it's like, oh, you announced he's coming back for an episode. That definitely, I think, put up too many expectations for me. But we'll see next week. Still a good scene, and yeah, who knows? Hopefully that guy that picked up Harrison's gonna be okay. You know, Harrison's pretty fired up. You never know what's gonna happen. What do you guys think is gonna be the end result with him and Audrey? Is Audrey just completely done? Because he sends the invites like, "Hey, let's hang out."
Used.
What?
He got used.
I don't think so.
No, I'm making a joke. I don't believe he got used.
I'm like, I think she saw the massive red flag and was like, you know what, I'm out of here. But yeah, so he invites her to hang out this weekend, and she's kind of giving all the excuses, and then she finally just says like, "Oh, you broke that dude's arm," and right away, he's like, "You know what? No, I'm actually pretty busy this weekend. You don't got to hang out." So again, it's not even that she was completely done with him, but she was just, unlike her father, wanting to actually talk about him, just like, "Hey, what happened there?" But Harrison wanted none of that. So it's going to be interesting how it plays. But I do wonder if her and Angela will start comparing notes to similar things. I don't know, because we already got Angela like sneaking around and everything. But
yeah, I think it was leading to something like that. Just they've shown that her and Angela have like a pretty healthy relationship. So I'd imagine that they compare notes at some point, and it would just allow for some of that. And I like the character of Audrey, that's her name, right? The daughter. Yeah. And just because she's not just this like brain dead like young youth, like she's actually like thinking, you know, she's going into the red flags, because she was just so like rose tinted glasses on Harrison. I thought she was just gonna be like his ride or die, but I like that there's actually like layers to her, and she's not just a dumb character. So that's good that she has a brain.
We like characters with like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know where to go next. Do you guys have anything else to say on Audrey? Or
I'm trying to think of anything in Harrison. Like, I dropped out when I was saying that. Yeah, I like they giving them like the whole like Dexter get up and everything like that.
I was wondering what was happening. I'm like, holy fuck, is this just like his kill room here? No, he's cleaning the truck. That was a fun little misdirection there.
Yeah, well, let's use this to transition into. So while Harrison was doing his job, he's washing trucks and everything. Some dude gives him some envelopes, like, "Oh, this is for your dad." And it's like, "Oh, okay, what the fuck's going on here?" So then Harrison and Dexter, of course, squabble again. And he's like, "Oh, I forgot to give you this." So he picks it up, and it's from Kurt. And at this point, I guess we probably should go back to the very beginning here, as Kurt had been arrested. Because we got to talk about Kurt's dad. Kurt had been arrested because we had the whole Dexter crime scene stuff, and they said, and I liked all that of like, she was still alive when she was buried. I feel like Taylor rolled over his grave when Dexter knew right away, oh, she was shot while she was running. It's just another bad sign for Kurt, you know, just.
I feel like maybe I could have made a case this whole time, but when this episode, this is the nail in the coffin here.
And that's I'll get your opinion first. What do you think on Kurt's story of, oh, well, it was my dad. My dad was this really
bold play. I wonder if that worked for me in that scenario. Fuck. Yeah. It depends how well you sell it. I think he thinks he sold it pretty good, but fuck. No, I don't know who's buying that. Yeah, it's I didn't know how he's gonna get out of that. So him going that route was, again, like I said, bold. But I think that I like the parallel of him setting it up where he's talking about his dad doing these horrible things, and then it's just flashbacks of like the woman like getting, way of the road in the back, and he's just sitting in the cab of the truck. And
What does the way of the road mean?
Kirklin knows.
Oh yeah, Trailer Park Boys.
Oh, I did not. I've never.
Way of the road, bubs.
I
Ladies
watched
of
it
the
at
night.
enough. Yeah. Well, I don't think that's what was happening to her. I think she was just getting killed.
Was she getting killed? I thought she was just getting bruised, because he said like they would leave all battered and bruised and stuff like that.
Maybe.
So I don't
Yeah,
think that was killing. I think
Yeah.
he just like, I think, got used to that violence, and then that's set up where this was his first kill, and he's young, and he decides like to help her out. And again, one thing leads to another. By helping her out, he decides to put his fucking gun with laser sights and just fucking blow a hole
Dude, he's got
through her.
all the attachments.
Oh yeah,
gun's
it's like this
fully
guy's
leveled up.
dropping in fucking Caldera tonight.
He even has his winter getup too, is like his skin
Oh,
and everything,
yeah.
the mask and
Yeah.
stuff.
And he was already like super angry too. Like I thought he was having like a similar freak out that he was having. Like when she's running away, he's like, "I'm just trying to fucking help you." Pulls out his gun that's like loaded, clean, ready to kill. Yeah.
Yeah.
So bold play with the story. His lawyer did not want him to do
Story. I
that.
was laughing so hard. I'm like, we've never seen this dad character before, and
Yeah.
he's just like, "That's the DNA that you found. It was my dad's."
And the fact that he got away with it too is like, I don't know, because like, and no, it's strange because like I felt like Angela kind of bought the story. She's like, why wouldn't you told us this sooner? Blah blah blah. And it's just like, at first she was not buying it, but then it felt like she did buy it. Of like, oh, you could have saved people a lot of heartbreak. But then it's like we also in the early episode had him tear apart this room and had a bunch of hidden stuff. So it's like the fact that she still was not like, I'm not buying it. It just kind of felt like everyone like, yeah, I guess that's the story. And I was like, no, like, but yeah, bold play. I'll have to remember that if I get in trouble. Oh, that's my dad's DNA. That's all my
Yeah.
dad.
I thought similarly towards Angela. I'm like, how the fuck could you even like partially believe this? But the explanation on like why he let go, I did believe. I don't know if that was like a lawyer or someone like came in and was like, okay, 66% chance or 67% chance that it's his DNA, but like that's just not good enough to like hold up in court. So then that kind of like is just a reason to let him go. I bought that reasoning enough, at least for, the plot wise. But yeah, in that scene, I was just like, everything he was saying, it's like someone on his last leg, like, oh no, it was my twin brother that no one's ever seen before.
Like,
And
how are you
that's what-
buying this story? Like, are you kidding me? I know it's just 66% or whatever, but it's like, fuck off. Like, this guy saying my dad did it, and I didn't say. And even then, like, isn't there some sort of like aiding and abetting charge or something of like I guess he said he didn't know, but still, it's just like, yeah, I felt it was like a little whimsy, but I guess it's a small town, so you got away with it. I did like that Logan's like seems like he's completely turned against him. Like it seems like like after he's collecting his stuff, it was like, oh, sorry for the miscommunication. It's just like whether he doesn't believe him or whether he just thinks he's a piece of shit for like keeping this to himself for years. I like that because last week Logan was like, oh, I don't think Kurt's that type of guy, So I like that there's some continuation with him. So
Absolutely. I love Logan. He's great. He's a really good character in the show.
I really hope he makes it.
Yeah.
You never know. But yeah. So anyway, so what happened was he got arrested at his diner. He gotta suck. Getting arrested at work and everything like that. But before, because I'm kind of trying to tie it back to Dexter and Kurt and everything like that. So before we get in that, let's take our second ad break because Kirklin's gonna kill me. He's like, "What's going on?" Let's take our second ad break and we'll talk about Kurt and Dexter. So we'll be right back. And we're back. So prior to him being arrested, he's talking to Dexter and he's kind of like flexing. Like I think we as the viewers know he knows something because he's like, oh, we could have been friends, and oh, it was like fate you picking me up. So while he's in prison, he got that guy to drop off the envelope. The envelope has a titanium rod. Dexter's like, I guess it works in a small town. Dexter's plan to clear out the station is to let out all these sheep. So then this cop has to leave, and even then,
Small town.
It is a small town, but I guess there's no other police officer in the station, so Dexter can just walk right in. But all right, so small town, he's walked right in. I really like the scene Kurt and him have because it's like a classic. I feel like Dexter versus a killer when they both know each other is something, and they're like dick measuring, and they're just trying to puff out their chests, and I really like that. Again, maybe I could be wrong, and you guys can tell me. And I'm not trying to toot my own horn and be like, "Oh, I'm so smart," but when he's like, "Yeah, it's a titanium," or like titanium rods don't melt. And then Dexter like rushed to his car and searched up titanium rods. The second he said that, like in the prison, like, oh, so they're mats. I was so surprised that Dexter did not put that together. It's like and maybe I just know because of wrestling, like titanium rods are very common for athletes and stuff to put together. So maybe I'm wrong. Did you guys know that right away? Or were you like Dexter? You had to search it up and know.
I don't know what Taylor felt. I had no fucking idea what the significance of the screw
okay,
was.
that's fair.
And
okay, there you go.
when he does the research, it allows for that flashback of him like seeing Matt's knee, and then it's like, oh, okay, it's surgery because it's something I guess I noticed in the first episode, whatever episode it was, that we had that scene.
Yeah, it was one.
Yeah. So Taylor,
So
did you know?
that's that scene when Dexter opens the envelope and it falls out. And he's like, "What the fuck is this?" That was me watching the scene. I have no
Okay,
clue.
fair enough. But yeah, so he reveals then that
He brought up the snow a lot. He's like, it was snowing when you picked me up, eh? So creepy.
His dessert and stuff like that. That could have been poisoned by Kurt, but no. So, and that's the big reveal that he has now figured out that Dexter has killed Matt. I like it. I think it needs for the story, obviously, because you're going to get that head-on collision. I still wonder. Like, I want to know, and this is where I'll get your guys' opinion. I want to know, obviously, so he says, okay, it was snowing when we pick you up, and then when he gets dropped off, for a drunk guy, he has a great memory. When he gets dropped off, it's not snowing at all, and he's like, oh, that was ash. I just want to know, how did he get to the point, because then Jim picked him up and everything. He's like, oh, it's fate, you could have killed me. But how did Kurt get to the point where he just like automatically figured like, oh, it wasn't snow, it was ash. That must have mean that Jim Lindsay threw my son in a fucking heating. I thought there should have been like a little bit more for him to get to that point. But what do you guys think about Kurt saying that he knows about Dexter taking out his son?
Yeah, I was my first thought was just like, hey, did he just like go to the area and just like dig out that furnace? Like I want to know like the logistics of how he figured out. Maybe he just knows everyone in this town and they're like, hey Kurt, we found some titanium rods in this furnace. This is kind of
Do
weird.
they belong to your son?
Yeah, like did he taste some of the snow that happened to be ash? He's like, this is Matt.
Yeah.
It was a little like, okay, like this is how we're getting to the point where Kurt knows something about Dexter.
It felt too easy for me. Like,
it felt way too easy. But on the other end, I do like that they both know something about each other and they know that they're both shady, so they can't just like go to the cops for either one. So I always like that dynamic in shows.
Yeah.
It makes just a little anxiousness when they're both on screen because you don't know what's gonna happen, right? And at the end of this episode, we kind of know what Kurt's planning, at least a little bit. So I liked the result of it, but the execution, it was just like, oh, okay, that's a little lucky, but whatever. Taylor, how do you feel about it?
Well, I think the dynamic between him showing up that night and Kurt just being like, wow, good thing you were there. I don't understand why that's kind of significant to Kurt. I think it's interesting that Kurt detected the smoke and the ash difference. I like that.
Yeah.
And to me, I think, okay, he had his inclination that Dexter was guilty or there's something off about Dexter, but I think Dexter has been, again, he's slipping. The way he reacted on the basketball court, I think that was a huge, or the wrestling court, that was a huge problem. That kind of was another tip off to, that was another tip off to Kurt. And then when, like, the whole reason Kurt sent that piece of metal, the titanium, to Dexter was to instigate this confrontation. That 100% reiterated to Kurt, like, okay, now I can make my move when I get out of here. I know he's definitely, like, he cleared the cops out. I know he killed my son and all that stuff. So Dexter walked right into his trap, which he's done so many countless times to many other serial killers. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's just like what Kirklin saying, you saying, and me. It just, it feels like there's one step. Like, how do you jump from? Like you said, he just kept fucking bringing up the car ride. It's like, because it's just weird. Like, because I know you brought up like, oh, Dexter's been acting a little, maybe sus towards him, like saving the podcast or whatnot. But it's like the podcaster and Angela have been acting sus to Kurt, and Kurt's just not like, oh, they must have killed my son. Like, because what happens in the real, like, what if Jim Lindsay literally just picked him up and anybody else put Matt in the fucking fryer and Kurt's just decided, no, it was Jim 100%. Like, it's a weird. It's like we need one more thing, like, and maybe it's just some of the conversations they've had. But I thought again, which was strange, and again, this is maybe just expectations. But I think all of us were like, "Oh, what's going to happen is Harrison's going to say one thing, and that's going to really tip him off." But no, like that didn't really happen. Harrison is just legitimately right now just a fucking car wash guy working for Kurt. Like I thought there was going to be some significance. There will be, because I think like Kurt has Harrison under his thumb, but it was just strange how we got there. But yeah, they know, and it's going to be interesting. Obviously, Dexter got kidnapped. What do you guys think the result that's going to be next week? Like, obviously, I don't think that guy is going to make it out, the guy that kidnapped him, but how do you think that's going to go? That's how Dexter ends.
I mean,
he just gets fucking killed like the start of episode 8, and it's just, oh shit.
It definitely takes me back to, I forget what season it was, but when Dexter gets like captured by that like psychopath. I don't know what the plot or
well, which
anything
one?
Is. Well, he's the dude that's like to wear like a pig mask and like chase his victims, right?
Yeah, he wears like a big horn thing.
Yeah,
no,
gets
that
off
was
on chasing people.
That was technically Dexter was just in his home, and he just like knocked Dexter out and then put him in his little fun maze. But there were 2 other times in season 3. Dexter got kidnapped twice. Dexter got kidnapped by the Skinner, same way, and he got kidnapped by some random guy to throw his bachelor party, because the motherfuckers had the balls to end the episode where he got kidnapped, put in a trunk, and that was the cliffhanger. And then the next week when they open up the trunk, they're like, "Oh, hey, you're getting married!" Like it's a whole party and everything like that. But still, in one season, he did get kidnapped twice, so that's his weakness. That's easily kidnappable.
Absolutely. But no, first of all, with this guy, when he was approaching Harrison, I'm like, what the fuck is this guy's plan? He is the most sus like truck driver I think I've ever seen.
Package just in the back there. I thought for sure Harrison might get kidnapped or something, because when he's just like, yeah, it's just back there, it's like, don't go in the steward's truck, you know?
No, very sketchy, and just like really bad vibes from him, giving him a weird envelope. Like again, I kind of like that it's just Kurt has these like goons that work for him, that, you know, he's a truck driver, but he's probably done some other sus things for him. Like he's probably the one that helped him move all that shit in his little kidnap dungeon, right?
This guy do anything.
Yeah. So it's fun because on one sense it gives some what's the word I'm looking for? Some possibility of Dexter being in danger, for lack of a better term there. But yeah, no, I wouldn't put my money on this kidnapper.
No.
I think Dexter's the one that's going to come out of it. I hope it's not just like what you were kind of alluding to earlier on, of it, if it's this whole next episode is just him trying to get away from this. I think that would be a major step down in the show. Because we don't need that. We don't need that.
We don't. The preview, like all the scenes of Dexter were just him in this scenario. So I hope it's something that they were just showing and they deal with pretty quickly. But I just know, like, that is a classic TV thing. Like, oh, we're gonna do an episode just based on this like adventure, and like I was like, we don't need that. I don't need Dexter to outsmart this fucking guy. Like I really don't. Like unless the gimmick, like I said, is it's Dexter outsmarting this guy while interacting with the ghost of Trinity. Then I could see, okay, you want to dedicate a whole episode to the Trinity Dexter dynamic. I could see that. You could have fun with that. So then maybe we'll see. But yeah, if it's just Dexter versus fucking Kurt's brother, then I don't know. Like,
how do you know it's not his dad?
Well, yeah, you know, my son Kurt is a good guy. What about you, Taylor? What do you think Dexter's gonna do in the scenario next week? Like again, he's not gonna. I guess I feel similar to. I'm excited for the Hawkeye finale, but like with like Yelena and Hawkeye, if you follow that, it's like I just know the route we're going, and same thing with this kidnapping. We just know, all three of us know, like, how this is going to go down. We've seen this played out a few times in Dexter where there's some fucking lackey is like, oh, I'm going to be the one to knock off Dexter Morgan, and it's not going to go that way.
I don't want Kurt to be the one to kill Dexter Morgan. I don't think it's going to happen. It better not be. Could you imagine if it was this random truck driver that gets to kill Dexter? Like, that'd be great. Horrible. But no, it definitely won't be Kurt. It's got to be someone close that learns the truth. Like, I hope if anyone were to do it, I feel uncomfortable if it was Harrison, but that would kind of make sense. But I feel like Angela would have to be the one to just pop him. But
is Dexter poppable right now? Like, I guess like we can transition. Go ahead.
If he's kidnapped, obviously he is. But like him being kidnapped right now, I think that's just going to add more fuel to the fire, because obviously, okay, Angela and the podcaster are looking into the fact like, hey, like, why would Dexter be looking into him too? Again, he could spin it any which way. He could just be like, I've been getting bad vibes of myself. Like, I work. He could say like, hey, I worked in forensics. You know this, and I was getting iffy vibes about him, so I was doing my own research. But I didn't want to worry you because it might not have been anything big. But that's why, like, I'm coming forward now and looking into it. Like, he could totally spin it that way, and it would totally be logical. Angela would believe it because she's arresting Kurt, not with solid grounds of evidence, because he just got to walk. And I just think that him being kidnapped is going to trigger that Angela and them to think, okay, Kurt is up to something. But again, Kurt's used a henchman, so he's going to be able to have plausible deniability. Like, hey, I was at the diner this whole time. I was in jail this whole time. He got abducted while I was in jail. How do you explain that? So,
Yeah.
I
mean, yeah, that was the other thing. So they had Angela and the podcaster had a little falling out because like Dexter, we talked about this briefly, but Dexter and Angela went to Kurt's old place. He completely stripped it and stuff, so that room's gone. So now Kurt's gonna be like really jonesing for a kill because he didn't get to complete one of his cycles, and now like unless he has a room set up somewhere else, I feel like it's gonna be a little bit. So I think he's
he was eyeballing the podcast. Remember when she walked out of the diner with Angela?
Oh, yeah.
He was staring her
unfinished business.
yeah. So, but anyway, so Dexter said, "Oh yeah, like what was the podcaster's name? I always forget it."
Molly?
Yeah,
Molly.
I think you're right. Yeah, I was like, oh, she was here. She didn't want me to tell you. Angela and Molly have falling out. Molly then goes to the restaurant at some point and they start comparing notes. And that's when, again, Angela is getting more and more suspect of Dexter because it's just like, oh, you know, it's a good thing Jim was there, even though like his excuse was kind of weird and stuff like that. And he's like, oh, well, Jim said the reason he followed you is because he overheard you and Kurt talking. He got a little worried, and she's like, that's kind of impossible. He was literally sitting right here. And then they bring up the phone recording, and why would you want to do that? And Kurt and Dex were also having lunch, which was a very awkward situation for Angela to show up in. So again, like Tara said, I think it's easily for Dexter to say some things to get out of it, but I think they're clearly setting up that kind of every few weeks Angela's learning more and more. And again, it's to the point of like, I don't know how you're going to dig to find like, I don't think unless he gives us information, she's going to find out he was this massive serial killer, because it's not like he doesn't have the blood slides. It's not like Miami where he has all these victims. It's just like those were years ago. So maybe she's just going to find out just the Matt portion of the story, and we'll see. But yeah, I'm interested to see. It's again, I don't know if I don't know. I just wonder if it's kind of like the Kurt thing where I felt that conversation went a bit too easy to find to that point to get direct Angela to there, but. You know, I get it. That guy's lied a bunch, and even though, you know, he did her assault earlier, it's out the window and stuff. So I'm excited to see next week what she starts to look into. Like, what could she possibly, like, what's her goals? Like, where does she start to be like, how can I get more info on Jim? You know?
Yeah, definitely like those seeds were planted just from their conversation, which I'm excited for because again, it's just another like doom factor for our character of Dexter of like, like I don't think Angela can ever just go back to like them just being lovers, and it's fun for the story wise, right? Because I think Dexter might come like even in this episode when they were finishing their little forensic meeting, he like drops the line of like something about like, oh, you just found this because your boyfriend helped you out or here, and like he's just still like mentioning that they're like dating.
Yeah.
And I thought they like kind of broke up after like the interrogation scene. And Dexter, just being like a psychopath, just thinks that it's just not a big deal and they can just go back to living their lives the way it was. And I don't think she could ever do that. And especially once Molly's filling him in, that she's getting weird vibes about him. And like, oh no, like, I guess that wouldn't be the case because he's never lied to you, right? He's like had like the biggest lie anyone could have had in a relationship of like being, you faked your own death and you're not actually who you say you are. So I liked all that conversation between the two of them because now it just shows that the gears are turning in Angela's head. Like she's starting to think about these things. And I remember early on, like when she first figured out, kind of when she had the interaction with Batista, like, and that was a big moment. And then I thought, oh, it's kind of sucks that we're not like really diving into this, but it made sense because she was so focused on Iris and like focusing on Kurt. And now, I'm not going to say that's resolved, but now her attention's just focused kind of elsewhere. Like, Kurt's still there, so she's still definitely is focused on him.
Kurt's dad's the guy. It's done. It's over.
Can you imagine?
Case
It's like
closed.
this old guy in an old folks home. They just, like, go and arrest him.
Kurt said what?
Yeah. Jeez.
Do you know about his room? So Taylor, if you're Angela, or I guess if you're the writer, you're in the writer's mind writing for Angela, what's the first thing she does next week if she's trying to be like, hey, I want to dig more into Jim Lindsay / Dexter Morgan? Because like I said, you could look into Dexter Morgan's whole past, but it's not going to be like, oh, and he was also a serial killer on the side. Like, I feel like she already has all the information about Dexter she could have. So like, where would she go next?
Yeah, like I feel like, okay, the whole relationship dynamic is not out the window, because he even says like, hey, like your boyfriend, what did he say? He said something like, hey, your boyfriend is like checking something or doing something, and she acknowledged and said like, yeah. So he did slide that comment in there, being her boyfriend still. But where does she go next?
He's just gonna gaslight her back into a relationship.
We're dated.
Oh, we never broke. I'm not Jim. I'm not Dexter Morgan. That's not in your
Just call me
mind.
Jim.
Call him Mr. Lindsay.
I could see her like if we got some, like in the last episode, like some snippet of like Jim still being alive, saved by Kurt, and they kind of disregard everything because they relearn that Kurt kidnapped Dexter, and they think, okay, Kurt's just the big bad. We're not going to worry about looking at Dexter's past or what he was doing. Like, he's just glad he's safe and alive, but still be skeptical, and they leave that open for a possible second season follow up. I do think that, hey, we're also going to get maybe a sequence where Angela goes back and has another scene with Batista saying, like, can you tell me more about Dexter Morgan? Like, I want to look into it. But not allude to Batista like, hey, Dexter's alive, but just, dive into, like, tell me a little bit more, look more into it. So
they should, though. Like I've said before, that would be such, you talk about a cliffhanger for an episode if Batista were to show up in Iron Lake, and like, imagine Dexter just walking in. Imagine him walking in to the sheriff's department, and he looks, and there's just Batista sitting there. That would just be the biggest, like,
he pulls out his syringe and charges him.
Let's get him, Kurt. We can't be friends now, but like, I think that would be such a hype moment, because that would just be like, the jig is up. I guess to me, like, the only thing about Batista that doesn't make sense is, like, again, I feel like they're trying to insinuate that she's gonna find something that would implicate Dexter as far as being a serial killer. Now Matt's body is gone, and all the proof that for that is Kurt has now, right? So that's not really like I feel like if they would have done anything with Batista, they would have set up the whole Bay Harbor Butcher thing, and he also would have been like, yeah, but lots of us don't believe it was Dokes, and there's been some other things. It's just the Reddit people. So I'd love him to come back, but I just feel like we're running out of time. We got 3 episodes left. We got under 3 hours to go, and we gotta close off Harrison. We gotta close off Dexter, Angela, maybe the billionaire guy. I'm kind of resorting to, I don't think that's a thing anymore. Like, I don't like. Do you guys foresee that happening? Because we got 3 episodes left, and it's just like, where would he fit in the story right now, currently?
I don't think we're seeing him again. I thought it's just the one instance there. Just lack of time, and there's already so many things. I mean, like, I thought that they wasted time in this episode.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna say that bringing it back would be wasting, especially if they use it cleverly, but I think there's just too many things going on, and I can't see it making sense to him just naturally be like, oh, I just came to visit or something like that, So
I'm trying to think, is there anything else from this episode we want to hit that we haven't talked about yet?
I don't. I just want to say one thing. Thinking back about the whole biting of Kurt's hand, how he just says like, yeah, I work with my hands, and the DNA, like,
you know that,
you know me.
Yeah.
He's just so unconvincing. This is also because Clancy Brown just looks like an evil motherfucker, but he's just like, you're just upset, you know me,
My dad has the same scar.
Yeah. It's a Caldwell tradition.
It's interesting because she was alive. That's another thing I wanted to note too. Like, Dexter, she was alive when she was buried. So yeah. And
do we think this was probably Kurt's first kill, Iris? I would imagine so, right?
Oh, it definitely was.
And it was just put up there. So now here's the question, because we talked about this last week where, okay, they only found Iris. I wonder where he is putting these other bodies then. He also uses the furnace, and that's how he figured out. It's like, what are these rods doing in here? Like,
he's just collecting the rods.
Yeah.
All of his victims have knee surgeries.
That's the gimmick. He's like that because he has to make sure they can't run too far, you know.
That's true, yeah. One other thing, just on like the whole snowing comment he kept dropping. I just couldn't believe that he just knew that it was Ash. Like is he just like
He was
analyzing
drunk, too.
all of these
He's probably
the
putting
Ash?
his tongue out, trying to taste. I love eating snow. Oh, that's Ash.
Yeah.
I like that recreation. Oh, that's
But like it's not like that furnace is new. Like they must burn things all the time. Like there must always be
Yes.
ash in the town.
They
Like
just thought that my son must be in the burner and
smells
stuff.
like Matt. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't-
Smells like Matt.
When I was laughing at it, it's like I just imagine with the knee thing that anytime Kurt's at his restaurant, so I was like, yeah, and I gotta go in next month to get my knee done. Kurt's just like he just like gets an insta boner right there. He's like, fuck, another one. I found another non-runner. But yeah, like I hate to go back to it. Ashley's just kind of dumb. It's just like I just don't get how he jumped to that conclusion and stuff like that. It's just like it must mean Matt's there. It must mean, and it must
Yeah.
mean Jim killed him. Like unfortunately, unfortunately he's right in this situation. But yeah, so yeah, we talked about Audrey, we talked about Harrison. I liked all the moments with the community, with Iris's family and stuff like that. I really like that. Like, oh,
Yeah.
you finally got him. It sucks now. Like, well, no, she didn't get him. It's Kurt's dad who's gone and stuff like that. But I thought that was all good stuff. I'm trying to think. I don't think there was anything else with Harrison we're missing or Jim. Oh, this one thing I'll say is like another negative too. Lack of Deb content in this episode. I thought this was episode. It's funny. Like last week we talked about how much she was in there and felt very different. They have that. It shows like how like off kilter Dexter is because Deborah the whole time has been like, don't kill. And now she's saying, you just got to kill this guy. And she's like, you can't leave it to the police. Complete 180 of a few episodes ago. That's fine because it's what's in Dexter's mind, right? So it works that way. And she had that moment where it's like, look what happens when the police handle things. And it shows, you know, she got shot and stuff like that, which is, again, a bold-faced lie because the reason she got shot is because like Dexter was fighting a serial killer. It had nothing to do with the fucking police, like nothing at all. So, yeah, I guess the only thing is, I guess he did leave the guy for Deb to arrest, but still, it's like it's because of Dexter's curricular activities on the side that kind of led this. But yeah, I was actually surprised how little she was in this episode, and I kind of missed her, you know, to be honest, because I think every episode, like everything she's done, it's been smaller amounts, sure, but it's been like a big highlight, and it's been really good. Where this one just kind of felt like, we don't really got much for Deb this week, which is fine. Then fine, save her, but yeah, not much Deb content, so.
Yeah, it was definitely taking a step back, but like the scene, I mean, the only scene I can really think that she was in was in the cabin when she was telling him to kill Kurt. I still thought that was a great scene, and like when it, like, what did she say? What's the worst that can happen? And then like her blood is like coming out from the wound. That was really, really good. Just really eerie, and because it was so good, it was noticeable that she was missing because I was just waiting for the next scene to happen. So yeah, good call out there.
Yeah. Yeah, Kurt, the podcast. Yeah. Anything else? Anything else we haven't touched upon?
Drawing blanks.
Well, yeah. Well, hopefully, you know, good discussion, but hopefully next week get some juicy stuff because we had 2 weeks of roast and really like big juicy things happening. So we'll see. Andrew's on the hunt for Jim Lindsay / Dexter Morgan. Dexter's all wrapped up. Who knows what fucking trouble Harrison's gonna get into with his dad not around? Because you know, Dexter's still a bad dad, but at least he still kind of steps in some situations where now he's just going to be like, actually, no, he's going to be gone for days, but Harrison will be like, oh, this is as usual. Like Dexter's never around, you know? Like, and I was going to say, I forgot to bring this up way back, but when Harrison was talking about his dark side, I was really happy. I was worried he was going to reveal that he did hurt Hannah because he's like, I've felt this way my whole life. He did then transition saying, listen to the podcast, like, is what like really stirred up. But I was really worried he was going to do this big reveal of like, oh, yeah, it wasn't cancer. I was like, I'm very happy we're not going down that route because then I feel like they would start making more villainous. But yeah, who knows? We'll see. What were you laughing about?
I just can't stop thinking about Kurt's obsession with the snow, and he's just making like ash angels. Like he just really was like having fun with the snow that day, and that's when he was like, "Wait a minute, this isn't snow. This is my son."
So let me ask you this.
It sounds so silly when you put it that way.
Was he getting drunk because of the fact that, okay, okay. Was he getting drunk because he wanted them to not find the cave and find Iris's body, or is he getting drunk because like his son is literally flailing around him?
No, he's getting drunk because the cave thing, which I guess that's one thing we could quickly mention too. Is remember episodes we were ago, because when Taylor still thought Kurt was innocent, we are like, why would he call off the search? At least now, like they talked about last week, but that was the full on like, oh, he called off search because they were about to get to that cave, you know? And
Yeah.
obviously, he didn't fully say that, but yeah, no, it's just so funny when you put the Ash thing that way of like he's outside drunk trying to build a fucking snowman and just like this isn't sticking, like this is not the right POW I want, but yeah.
He just gets like a freak out too, like when that girl like escapes the room, he's just like punching the walls.
It's not supposed to be this way. You're supposed to have 3 balls. He has like a top hat and a scarf. He's all really excited. Just Kurt in the snow. And bold play for Kurt trying to shake Angel's hand on the way out. Fucking asshole.
Yeah, that was a bad guy move.
Oh, 100%. Just leave, dude. Read the room. Read the fucking room. But well, we will be back next week with Dexter episode 8. We got 3 more left. It's very interesting. I'm very interested to see. Like I said, I don't even understand that producer's quote of, oh, it's supposed to be a final season, but also what we're going to talk about stuff after it's all aired and everything. And yeah, we'll see. Maybe my boy Dexter will survive and he could be like Harry from jail. I don't know. We'll see. But let us know what you thought about this episode, whether it's on our Discord or Twitter or YouTube, that whole shebang. And we'll be back next week. We got Hawkeye finale. We got and I guess we should say that the Dexter review, we don't know when it will be next week, because as right now it doesn't look like they're taking a break, and I think it literally drops on Christmas. As we've said before, as much as I love Christmas or as much as I love Dexter and as much as we're excited for the show, we're not going to be taking time to make sure we get out that Dexter review, because I think
we had to convince Travis. He's like, you gotta leave your families, but we convinced him to not Scrooge us.
Don't open that present yet. I gotta go talk about Kirk Caldwell and the Ash. But like, yeah, so we will. I imagine it might be like the Monday or Tuesday when we record it. We'll keep you. That's why you follow in the social medias. But yeah, we'll let you know, because we're not gonna rush to it, because I still question them dropping an episode Christmas weekend. I feel like they should have just skipped a week and been like, oh, we get an extra week, because it's good. I know people will be home, and some people, are, maybe can't go see family and stuff like that. But I just, especially out of all the stuff, like I love Dexter, but I don't think Dexter's a very like Christmas festive show to be watching that week and be like, yeah, this is gonna get me in the mood. But watch it be a Christmas episode and it'd be the best. But so yeah, next week, if you're wondering why on Saturday or Monday or Sunday or Monday you're looking for, oh, where like did they not do it? No, it's just like I said, we'll figure that out when we get to it. So yeah, next episode 8 next week. If you guys only listen to Dexter's Review, everyone have a happy holidays. Stay safe out there, and promise you will not be boring.
Merry Christmas.
Peace.